Hey everybody, I don't know who's going to show up and I don't know who's not going to show up, but I want to thank you in advance for showing up. I don't know how to use the, I don't have enough people to go to the community tab and to inform people that I'm going to be going live. So if you catch this broadcast later, thank you so very much for joining. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to Slime We Trust News. Thank you to Sweet Pea Diaries. Thank you to Nick at Night. Thank you to Anointed Fire. It's so many people that I watch. I can't remember his first name. Isaiah Salvador. I'm so sorry if I'm messing up your name, but it's so many YouTubers that I just want to thank right now. So I've been on this kick lately talking about CPS and how they're stealing people's children. So I found this website. This is not my article that I wrote. So I don't in any way condone violence. I don't condone how they say payback or, anything of that nature. This page over here, I just want to report in peace. Okay, so anybody that disagree with me is fine. I understand we all are here to agree to disagree. So let me get into this. And it says the corrupt business of child protective services. So it reads, this is a summary. This article's author worked around 300 cases in Georgia. And this is called a reach back. I'm reaching back into old archive files and articles that I've seen. So I'm going to call this Reach Back Monday. Anyway, let me get to it. This article's author worked around 300 cases in Georgia, along with hundreds across the nation. She shares heartbreaking stories of CPS corruption, including how children are being taken away unnecessarily and put in very abusive situations. And some of these foster cares are way worse, And, one of my relatives actually was adopted out. And I actually got a chance to talk to my relative. I'm not going to say whether it's male or female because I don't want to breach, confidentiality. But this particular family member of mine stated that when I say they to not, it's only one gender, but I'm going to say they, when they were adopted out, they were sexually violated by the foster child. The child that was already living with the parents, and the parents decided to do, foster care. So that person violated, my relative over and over and over again with no mercy. And when my relative tried to explain to the family member that their child, sexually violated them, they sent the person to another facility, another place, and it continued and it continued and continued. So it was a horrible thing to hear. I wish one day I would be able to get that testimony and be able to broadcast so that we can understand what actually goes on in some of these foster care homes and foster care facilities that people are placed in. A lot of times it is being covered up. If the child, say it's a female, if she ends up becoming impregnated by the family's son, then they'll hurry up and, probably, terminate the pregnancy and things of that nature, which is absolutely berserk, because there should be some accountability to your child. If your child is a male and he violates a female child that's supposed to be in your care, then you should be doing everything to protect that child as well as your own child. Okay, so and it's not just the kids that's doing it, it's the adults as well that's doing it. And sometimes it could be a girl and a female will sexually violate that female, or it could be a male and another male could sexually violate that child. So then this child becomes confused on its identity. But we'll talk about that much later. So let me continue. It says, She shares heartbreaking stories of CPS corruption, including how children are being taken away unnecessarily and put in very abusive situations. Her conclusion is that there is no responsibility or accountability in child protective services. And I can just about believe it, because if you are found to be guilty of and here you can sign up for the email, and get some more information on it, which is cool. And I like how they put it out there. But I'm just going over this article because I found it to be, and this was in 2008. And I'm just going over it to, show that these things have been going on for such a long time. The corrupt business of child protective services by Nancy Shaefer, Georgia State Senate, 50th District, revised September 25th, 2008. And you can download a PDF version. You already saw the I'll probably read the PDF version, but I'm just going to go ahead and get into this portion first. But I think I'm going to focus a little bit and say what's really going on. So let me read their disclaimer. While we agree with Shaefer that the system is broken, the comments and recommendations are those of the author, who passed away in 2010. Sorry to know that. And do not necessarily reflect the views of parentalrights.org. But due to the fact that she wrote this article, I'm going to go ahead and read it. And they have to do that disclaimer, and that's a disclaimer on my end as well, because I don't want anybody coming after me saying that I'm spreading false misinformation. I'm not trying to diagnose. I'm not in the medical field. I don't know anything. I'm just reading the article that I found. So I should not be struck with a strike of any sort, because I'm reading a legalized article that is actually on the website. My introduction into child protective services cases was due to the grandmother in an adjoining state, who called me with her tragic story. Her two granddaughters had been taken from her daughter, who lived in my district. Her daughter was told wrongly that if she wanted to see her children again, she should sign a paper and give up her children. Frightened and young, the daughter did. I have since discovered that parents are often threatened into cooperation of permanent separation of their children. Now, this is a person that did research on her own. This is not out of my mouth. This is on parental rights, or what do you call it, website. And this is what they're bringing up, what happens with CPS in the author's own words. So the children were taken to another county and placed in foster care. The foster parents were told wrongly that they could adopt the children. The grandmother then jumped through every hoop known to man in order to get her granddaughters. When the case finally came to court, it was made evident by one of the foster parents' children that the foster parents had at any given time 18 foster children, and that the foster mother had an inappropriate relationship with a caseworker. Wow, that happens a lot. In the courtroom, the juvenile judge acted as though she was shocked and said the two girls would be removed quickly. They were not removed. Finally, after much pressure being applied to the Department of Family and Children's Services of Georgia, which is the DFCS, the children were driven to South Georgia, to meet their grandmother, who gladly drove to meet them. So they're doing all types of stuff. In another article I read that they're taking children, even if you voluntarily give up your child, they are making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of the child that you voluntarily gave up, which I think is horrible. After being with their grandmother 2 or 3 days, the judge, quite out of the blue, wrote up a new order to send the girls to their father, who previously had no interest in the case and who lived on the West Coast. The father was in adult entertainment. His girlfriend worked as an escort, and his brother, who also worked in the business, had a sexual charge brought against him. So you're going to take them out of a safe environment and place those children in a horrible environment. I forgot the little boy name. I know his last, Gabriel Fernandez. I believe it was named Gabriel Fernandez. They left that baby in the care of his parents, and they ended up, taking that child's life. Now, that kind of situation, I can see clearly you're removing that child out of their care. But for a parent that's not doing anything that is causing harm to their children, why are you meddling with those parents? That's the problem that I see. Within a couple of days, the father was knocking on the grandmother's door and took the girls kicking and screaming to California. Wow. The father developed an unusual relationship with the former foster parents and soon moved to the southeast. The foster parents began driving to the father's residence and picking up the little girls for visits. The oldest child had told her mother and grandmother on 2 different occasions that the foster father molested her. This is what I'm saying. These people don't care. If you even have an idea that a foster parent is doing something, or anybody in the foster parent's home or a friend or sibling is doing something, CPS is supposed to be a safe haven for these children. They're not supposed to get out of a bad situation and end up in a far, far worse situation than what they were initially in. So I see where the ball is being dropped. They need to elect more people that actually have children, that really truly care about children, that constantly think about, what if this was my child, or what if this was my niece, what if this was my nephew, what if this was my, and then they will have a better understanding of what's truly going on, and all these things that are happening terribly to these kids will not continue to take place. And then once they're 18, you dump them out into the society, and then they continue that same behavior of violence. And some, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them seriously become the most amazing people in the world, because they become the most incredible advocates. Okay, so to this day, after 5 years, this loving, caring, blood relative grandmother does not even have visitation privileges with the children. The little girls are, in my opinion, permanently traumatized, and the young mother of the girls was so traumatized with shock when the girls were first removed from her that she has never completely recovered. This is absolutely horrible. The mother has rights, but the father still has custody of the children. And from my understanding, if you were not married to the father, he has no legal rights to that child. Especially with the line of work that he's in and the people that he's surrounded by, that's a disastrous thing that was waiting to happen. And they did not care. All they cared about was getting that mighty dollar and making sure that they took that child from its mother to become a stabilized human in the future as a stabilized adult. So throughout this case, and through the process of dealing with multiple other mismanaged cases of the Department of Family and Children Services, which is abbreviated DFCS, I have worked with other desperate parents across the state of Georgia and in many other states because their children were taken for no cause and they have no one with whom to turn. I have witnessed ruthless behavior from many co-workers, social workers, investigators, lawyers, judges, therapists, and others, such as those who pick up the children. I have been stunned by what I have seen and heard from victims all across this land. This is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. It really is. And this is how many other people have written articles or have testimonies and stories like this. If you know anybody that has actually been a victim to CPS out there, please tell them to hit me up in my email, and we could talk, and then we could possibly go live and start this chat talking about it. Hopefully they won't come after us and try to threaten us and harm us in any way. We're just telling our story, or they're just telling their story. In this report, I have focused mainly on the Georgia Department of Family and Children's Services, DFCS. However, I believe Child Protective Services nationwide has become corrupt and that the entire system is broken beyond repair. I am convinced parents and families should be warned of the dangers. And this is from this lady's article, and it's really heartbreaking. The Department of Children Protective Services, known as the Department of Family and Children's Services, DFCS, in Georgia and other titles in other states, has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. Right, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. However, this report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping, ineffective policies, and an agency that on certain occasions would not remove a child or children when the child was enduring torment and abuse. Wow. In one county in my district, I arranged a meeting for 37 families to speak freely and without fear. These poor parents and grandparents spoke of their painful, heart-wrenching encounters with DFCS. Their suffering was overwhelming. They wept and cried. Some did not know where the children were and had not seen them in years. I had witnessed the Gestapo at work, and I witnessed the deceitful conditions under which children were taken in the middle of the night out of hospitals, off of school buses, and out of homes. In one county, a private drug testing business was operating within the agency's department that required many drug tests from parents and individuals for profit. It has already made over $100,000, you guys. Due to being exposed, several employees in this particular office were fired. However, they have now been rehired either in neighboring counties or in the same county again. According to calls, I am now receiving the conditions in that county, are returning to the same practices that they had before the light was shown on their evil deeds. I don't understand something. Like, if you are a CPS worker and your family have children and you have children, why is it that you guys are not looking at what if someone was to come in and do this to my family? How would you? And I really want a person from CPS to answer this question. And this is not to be funny. Like, literally, before you answer this question, I want you to take yourself out of the situation 1,000%. Take and strip yourself of all what you know about CPS and everything, and make yourself a regular civilian like the rest of the people in America. Strip away all your knowledge, everything, and come way down to a regular person that doesn't work in CPS's level and answer this question. How is it that you can work for CPS as a woman or a male that have children, or let's say that you are regular like the rest of us, and CPS saw your kid and thought that your kid was a cutie pie, or somebody was disgruntled and came up with a lie and said that you did something to your kid, and you know for an absolute fact that you did not do it. You know for a fact you didn't do anything to your child or a child, period. And someone, because they may not have liked you, or they didn't like the way you look, or they didn't like what you might have said, and they said that you were doing something inappropriate to a child. So they come in the middle of the night you're confused, the household is shaken up, your kids are screaming, and they snatch your children or your family members or your friends' children right from up under their nose. And you felt like you had no way out. Let's not say you got any connections with anybody, nobody. You're bare naked like the rest of us. How come you can't think like that and say what we are doing is absolutely wrong? Because one thing for certain and one thing for sure, they can turn around and do the same exact thing to you as a co-worker. They can do the same exact thing to you. They can do the same exact thing to you. They could take your child, they could take your daughter's child, even if you're working in CPS. All it takes is for your daughter to be out and about, and a CPS, and somebody call and say that your daughter was snatching on your grandchild or your niece or your nephew, and it wasn't true. And next thing you know, CPS, even if you are a worker, even if you are employed by CPS, they still decide to take your niece. They still decide to take your child. Yeah, make them a victim of this. Yes, exactly. Last call. They still decide to take your family member. But don't let this. But keep in mind, you work for this company. You work for CPS. You are actually an employee, and you've been there for years. And say your children are growing, and some CPS now is your job or CPS. Are you going to stay with CPS? Are you going to let them take your family member? What are you going to do? Because they're going to treat you like they treat the rest of the people that don't work in CPS. They're going to take your grandchild, your niece, your nephew as an employee, and either you're going to comply with them or you're going to lose your job after all those years of service. So you got to take your pick. So anybody that works at CPS, I want you to answer that question to me. What will you do? Strip all your knowledge away. Strip all your connections away. Strip away everybody that knows you. Anybody that has any idea who you are. No friends, no nothing. And you have to go through everything that regular people have that have had their kids taken away. Tell me how you would respond. Tell me what you would do. You can't call your lawyer friend. You can't call your judge homeboy. You can't call your district attorney pal. You can't call your co-worker. You can't call anyone because you don't have that. Tell me how you would feel. Would that open your eyes to let you see that this is a real situation, or you just, oh, well, take them, I don't care? But anyway, I'm going to continue to read. Hi, last call. I saw your comments. How you doing? Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and now hundreds and hundreds across the nation. Wow. In nearly every state. This is what this author is writing. I am convinced there is no responsibility, no accountability in Child Protective Services system. I would like to hear their answer. Yes. I want to know. I really do. I really want to know. This is something that I really, truly want to know. I don't want them to just see this and go, no, don't give me your educated answer. Don't give me your answer because you've been working there. I'm saying everything that you know about CPS, I want you to answer from a person that has zero knowledge of any type of resource to help you. And you have to do this from scratch because they took your grandkid. And I don't know if you heard me say it in the beginning, but I was saying, what if they were to work for CPS for 20 years and their daughter ended up having a baby, and the daughter may have said, get your butt over here or something like that. And somebody reported the daughter and tell a lie and say I saw the daughter slap the baby, and the daughter never slapped the baby. She never did anything to the child. So now are you going to fight for your job, or are you going to fight for your grandchild? What if CPS come in the middle of the night and snatch your kid while you sleep and you got to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work? These are the questions that I want to know. I don't want them to come to me with no educated answer. Well, first of all, I don't want to hear none of that. I want you to give me your honest and humble, without any knowledge or any resources, anything, stripped down, butt naked. Tell me what you would do. Because I know you cannot answer that question. Why? Is because you have too many resources at your fingertip, because you've been working there so long. But if you can separate all that and answer me honestly, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so let me finish. They said the lady that wrote this says, well, the lady that wrote this has passed away now. She said, I have come to the conclusion. Come on now, talk with your talk. Okay, she said, okay, her point is that poor parents very often are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire lawyers and fight the system. Being poor does not mean you are not a good parent or that you do not love your child or that your child should be removed and placed in with a stranger. And that's true. But I was saying before you got on here last call that I have a family member that was placed willingly in a foster system. And even though these kids go into foster homes, this particular family member of mine, when they went into the foster system, I'm not going to say gender or because I don't want to, violate unless I get permission. Going into that foster system, my family member disclosed to me that I was raped constantly. Excuse me for that word, but I was R-word constantly. And they kept moving me from place to place to place to place. And I was molested constantly. And so it's like, due to that situation from my family member has mental issues because of these people's actions. So putting them in foster care system, like I read earlier, this grandmother had 2 granddaughters. They were snatched from the mother for some reason. It didn't go into detail, and placed into the father's care. The father lived on the West Coast, and he was into pornography. He was doing adult entertainment. His girlfriend was an escort, and I guess the brother was also in that line of work. But the father's brother, when the little girls were able to go finally visit their grandmother, they had horror stories that the brother's friend or brother was molesting them. And they still didn't take those girls up out of the home. I couldn't understand that. Why? This man was also having a relationship with one of the women at CPS. So, of course, they was getting their way. So let me finish this. That all parents are capable of making mistakes, and that making a mistake does not mean your children are to be removed from your home. Even if the home is not perfect, it is home. And that's where a child is the safest and where he or she wants to be with family. So, that's what I was saying earlier. You're taking my child out of my home and you're placing my child in a stranger's home. And a stranger don't care nothing about your kid because they want the money. It's all about money. Okay, let's go with the next point. And these are her conclusions: that parenting classes, anger management classes, counseling referrals, therapy classes, and on are demanded of parents with no compassion, by the system, even while the parents are at work and while their children are separated from them. Sometimes parents are required to pay for the programs. This can take months and even years. Wow. And it emotionally devastates both children and parents. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning their children to their parents. And I can believe that. That's why I had the question for the social workers to answer for me. How would you feel if you were placed in that situation and had to go through this by somebody just simply not liking you, by somebody just wanting to cause trouble for you and you've done absolutely nothing, or a doctor that wants to try to be superhero and misdiagnose and lie on you? And even the doctors, you got to even watch the doctors at the emergency rooms, because if they see something on your child, they'll say, oh, you can't have your child because this happened. I feel like this. If a doctor was to lie on you and they prove it in court that you did nothing, I would sue that doctor for every living penny and that he has. Then I would sue his job Okay, then I would go after the police officer that held me back from, being able to grab my child. I would do everybody would be hit. I would get money, money, money. You're right. It's all about the money. CPS is such a corrupt system. Some of those workers don't have a heart or a soul. No, they don't. Not until it happens to their family, last call. And once it hits their front door, like I said, you're at home sleeping. You got to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning to be at work at 9. CPS come busting through the door, snatching your grandchild. Then what? And that's your job. Who you going to fight for, your grandchild, or you going to keep that check coming through the door? That's the question that I have. And I know that if anybody from CPS see this, they're going to try to justify, they're going to try to make excuse, they're going to try to say everything to try to butter it up. No, like out here in California, there was a little boy named, I keep forgetting his name. Oh, he was such a cute little, Fernandez or something like that. I forgot his name, but he was with his parents, and people kept calling CPS, and nobody actually did anything, and that little boy ended up being taken away from here too soon. So every last one of the social workers that was on that case ended up going to jail because they dropped the ball. And when I say they tortured that baby, they tortured that baby. Hold on, I'm going to look it up. What's the name of the Netflix movie? Oh, Lord, my phone always want to act crazy. I'm sorry. You know what? It froze up. This phone is a trip. Anyway, Gabriel Fernandez, that's what his name was. Gabriel Fernandez or Hernandez, one of those. And they did a movie on Netflix. I could not watch that movie for nothing in the world. I couldn't even get past it. The abuse that they put on that baby was so horrific, and they were sitting up in court, and I was so happy when they prosecuted every last one of those social workers that were supposed to be on the case. They continued to drop the ball, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that they folded that baby up into a suitcase and tried to take him across the border. I could be wrong, but there was a case out here like that as well, where this lady abused a child, and CPS was called out multiple times, and she folded the child some kind of way in a duffel bag, her and her boyfriend, and tried to take that baby's body across the Tijuana border, and they end up catching her. They put both of their behinds in prison, and I don't know about the death penalty. You know me, I kind of feel like the death penalty is too easy. I want you to live your days out in pure misery. I wouldn't give you anything that you needed, food or anything. I would not give the taxpayers money to you to help you in any form or fashion. This is the problem with these people going to jail. They need to do it like some of these foreign countries. They need to do them the same way over in those foreign countries. You don't get 3 hot meals, and you don't get a bed. You don't get to play basketball. You don't get to play baseball. You don't get to lift weights. You don't get to do all this stuff. That's not a place where you should want to go and be entertained and have fun, have visitations and all that. Unless you committed a horrific crime, I don't think that you should get any of those amenities or however you call it. But I think that they should be put in a place where they will have to relive over and over their sin, what they committed, the crime that they committed should be over and over bashed into their head to the point where they're sick and tired of hearing about their crimes. Show them constant pictures of what they did to somebody if they, struck them down with any type of weapon. Let them see this over and over, and let them drive themselves crazy for what they did. Our country is too soft. Yes, go overseas, go to Mexico, go to them different countries and commit a crime. I've actually seen documentaries of other countries where they had people and those conditions were deplorable, absolutely deplorable. And I think that's what these violent criminals need. And I was telling somebody, and I know I'm getting off topic, but it kind of plays into it at the same time. When the kids go into foster care, they get sexually violated. When a man is a sexual violator, a constant sexual violator, I'll say if he violates a child, first thing first, I told in other videos, there was a video I watched, it was a documentary, I can't find it, but this guy was a pedophile, and he got tired of it when he went to jail for the last time. He did some research in the library on the brain, and he found out there's a certain portion of his brain that if he removed it, that, surgically, asked the doctor to remove it surgically, then he wouldn't have any desire to molest or sexually assault. So what they did was they actually had to get all types of documents signed, liabilities for the jail. They went ahead and they did the surgery, and so they put him in a controlled environment, and he was around little girls, and these little girls were in the cute little frilly dresses that he liked to, touch. They had monitors hooked up to him. He did not raise an eyebrow with them little girls, and he was crying because he was so grateful, because he said he didn't know what caused him to do that. But back to these kids, I think when that happens, even in the foster system, if one of the foster parents or relatives or friends or anything touches one of them kids, I think they should immediately remove that portion of the brain. And once they see that they don't have a choice when it comes to sexual assault, I guarantee sexual assault will drop to an all-time low. So, in her opinion, she states that caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. However, when charges are made against Child Protective Services, the charges are ignored. Isn't that something? That's crazy. That's absolutely berserk. Okay, let me continue. In her opinion, that the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as a business because local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-expanding budgets. Isn't that something? So some of the government officials know about this problem and are turning a blind eye to it. Like I said, until some of these government officials, all of these government officials, anybody that's a lawyer, judge, anybody that's working in that area of law, until somebody actually lies on them and say that, we're going to come and take your child and you have no way to fight, then and only then will that change. It has to be a situation that happens within the company to one of the co-workers for something to actually change. But I'm really praying and hoping that something will change, because these kids are our future, and this future generation, if this is the case, it's going to be a jacked up world more than what it is. Okay, in her opinion, that Child Protective Services and juvenile court can always hide behind the confidentiality clause in order to protect their decision and keep the funds flowing. There should be open records and court watches. Look who is being paid. There are state employees, lawyers, court investigators, guardian ad items, court personnel, and judges. There are psychologists and psychiatrists, counselors, caseworkers, therapists, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security. Parents do not realize that the social workers are the glue that holds the system together, that funds the court-appointed attorneys, and the multiple other jobs, including the system, psychiatrists, therapists, their own attorneys, and others. This is deep. This lady really did her research, and I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but for some reason, I'm not going to really say why. Somebody I know is going through this. In her opinion, that the Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clinton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopt out of foster care in order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses. Local child protective services need more children. They must have merchandise children to sell. That sells, and you must have plenty of the buyers. So plenty so the buyers can choose. I'm sorry, my words are really small. Hold on. You must realize. Right. Exactly. 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 It may not happen in our lifetime. Okay, receive, where did I leave? Okay, foster, in order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services need more children. They must have merchandise, meaning the children, that sells, and you must have plenty so the buyers can choose. Some countries are known to give a $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional $2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. So kids are nothing but money. And it's almost the same thing to me as trafficking. It's just trafficking. And they put it in a pretty little box and try to, change the wording. In her opinion, state departments of human resources, DHR, and affiliates are given a baseline number of expected adoptions based on population. For every child DHR and CPS can get adopted, there is the bonus of 4,000 or maybe 6,000, but that is only the beginning figure in the formula in which each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. Read that again, that first part concerning Mondale and what Clinton said. Okay, let me go back. Okay, in her opinion, it said that the Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by Bill Clinton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopt out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services need more children. They must have merchandise, which is the children, which is the merchandise that sells, and you must have plenty so the buyer can choose. Some counties are known to give 4,000 to 6,000 bonuses, $6,000 bonuses for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional 2,000 for children that have special needs. Yeah, merchandise. That's the key word. Children have become merchandise. Now, like you go to the store and buy a pair of pants. Why don't I just go buy me a daughter today? Why don't I just go buy me a son today? Well, hell, why don't I just go buy 6 of them a day? That's what is given. That's what is given to me. That's wow. So in her opinion, I'm going to read over everything again. In her opinion, state departments of human resources, DHR, and affiliates are given a baseline number of expected adoptions based on population. For every child, DHR and CPS can get adopted, there is the bonus of 4,000 or maybe $6,000. But that is only the beginning figure in the formula in which each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. So this makes me want to ask this question. Is this the reason why they are pressing so hard for women not to terminate their pregnancies so that these unwanted births, they can continue to make money off of these kids because the parents don't want to give birth to children, or they're not ready, or they had a mishap, maybe the prophylactic, which is the condom, broke. You get what I'm saying? So is this the reason why they're pushing so hard to take away women's rights to choose whether they want to terminate a pregnancy. Me, I don't believe in, terminating any type of pregnancy. But is this the reason why? But if it's a choice of theirs, they should have that choice. But I feel like you shouldn't take away somebody's choice, but at the same time, I don't think that you should terminate a pregnancy because you laid down in the bed and you you laid down in the bed and you got busy and you knew that prophylactics are not 100%. The only 100% way of not getting pregnant is not laying down and getting busy. That's the only 100% protection from getting pregnant. And that's honestly. Okay, so let me see. In her opinion, there is double dipping. The funding continues as long as the child is out of the home. Yep, as long as you keep that kid away, they're going to keep on getting that money. There is funding for foster care. Then when a child is placed with with a new family, then adoption bonus funds are available. When a child is placed in a mental health facility and is on 16 drugs per day, like 2 children of a constituent of mine, more funds are involved, and so is the Medicaid. Wow. So you got a child that's on 16 drugs. You get, not only do you get the 4,000 to 6,000, maybe even 2,000 because they got a mental illness. Now you get extra money because they're on drugs, and then Medicaid is paying. Wow, you talking about making dough? That's horrible. In her opinion, as you can see, this program is ordered from the very top and run by Health and Human Resources. This is why victims of CPS get no help from their legislators. It explains why my bill, a bill that she came up with, SB 415, suffered such defeat in the Judicial Committee. This is crazy. People are trying to fight this system, and it seems like the government is all in on with it. Let one of them politicians' grandchildren get snatched, and they can't get no favors from anybody, and you'll see, I bet you them laws will get changed. Let one of them politicians' grandchildren get snatched and get wrapped up in that system, and you sitting here fighting as a politician, and they tell you, well, your child making me a lot of money, so guess what? Are you going to let them have your grandchild, or are you going to leave your job, or what you going to do? You going to fight? What you going to do? You going to band together? What you going to do? That's why I say it goes for judges, lawyers, it goes for psychiatrists, psychologists, all of these offices that are mixed in with children's services. What are you going to do, in fact, if they come and snatch one of your siblings? That's the question that I have. What if you reach out to your coworker? What if you reach out to your friend, and because they're afraid for their job, they tell you, we can't help you. We like you. You're a good worker, but we can't help you because we don't want to lose our job. We don't want to stop the funding. We can't do anything because it's going to jeopardize this. We can't do anything because it's going to jeopardize that. Then what you going to do when you feel like the rest of us? What you going to do then? You're going to band a whole bunch of people together that's probably already pissed off at you because when they tried to bring it to the forefront in the beginning, you wouldn't help them. Now all of a sudden it's your turn. Now you want everybody to band with you. This is what makes me so sick about this daggone society. If you see something wrong, work together and try to fix it. Don't wait until it's your turn as the person that's in a high level position, and then you want everybody to band against you, but you've been giving everybody hell and high water. All of a sudden it's your turn. Oh, help me. No, I don't think so. So let me see, you guys. I keep that's my song. Okay, in her opinion, that there are no financial resources and no real drive to unite a family and keep them together or provide effective care. Wow. In her opinion, that the incentive for social workers to return children to their parents quickly after taking them has disappeared, and who in protective services will step up to the plate and say, this must end. I told you. No one, because they are all in the system together, and a system with no leader and no clear policies will always fail the children. Just look at the waste in in government that is forced upon the next text upon the next. Why did I say the next? Upon the taxpayer. Excuse me. These words, I tell you, they're so small, and I'm trying to read them the best way I can. But you can see she got a lot of stuff that she wrote, and I'm not trying to bore anybody, but this stuff needs to be talked about. Let me see how far I gotta go. Woo, I got a lot to go. Let me keep going. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let me see. I am right here. Okay. In her opinion, and I'm going to go back to the top so you can see who she is, that the policy manual is considered the last word for CPS and DFCS. However, it is too long, too confusing, poorly written, and does not take the law into consideration. What goes up must come down. Yes, indeedy, last call. Yes, indeedy. Okay. You know what, last call, I don't know, because I'm using StreamYard right now, and when I would go live with my other program, it would tell people that I'm live, but I don't know how to use the StreamYard and do notifications, and I was trying to tell someone that I have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in order to have that community thing where I could post that, hey, I'm getting ready to go live, but that's my dilemma right now. So let me get back to this. In her opinion, that if the lives of the children were improved by removing them from their homes, there might be a greater need for protective services. But today, children are not safe. Children of whom I am aware have been sexually assaulted and impregnated in foster care. Oh, okay, it's all right. Thank you. Yeah, they've been. Yeah. These families, these foster, like you get a foster girl in the house, the husband, because he ain't getting no nana from his wife, he feel like he got some fresh nana, so he go violate a child. And he probably the kind of person that'll violate his own child. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's continue. Wow. In her opinion, it is a known fact that children are in much more danger in foster care than they are in their own homes, even though a home may not be perfect. Exactly. And this is really hard to take, to know that you got so many children out there that are being abused. I know a lady right now, I don't know her personally, but through the grapevine, she has a bunch of foster kids. I've never met her, and the person that told me this is no longer with us, but she told me that this woman has foster children right now that have mental illnesses, and one of the girls is older, and she makes that girl do everything. When I say everything, she treats that girl like a slave. She talks bad to her. She's even cussed her out. She's even hit her before. Wait a minute, you have to use the initials per YouTube. What? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, she really mistreat this girl, and I was about to meet her, but my friend took ill, and she's no longer with us. So I was gonna turn her behind in for real, because I don't agree with that. People that have mental illnesses are already going through turmoil, within their own, and then you turn around and get them, and you're getting paid, and you're sitting up here making this girl clean your house, you're making her babysit, you're making her cook, you're making her do all this stuff, and you're getting paid for it. I don't think that's right. I think that they should really come down on it. You know what I'm saying? It's really sad. So wow. Let me continue, because this is really bothering me. Okay, I read that already. Say SA instead of the word. Is that what you're saying, last call? Wow, they're making us say all kinds of stuff now. Wow. Okay, in her opinion, while last call is giving me my answer, YouTube may strike your channel if you use the word R word or okay, I didn't know. YouTube, if you hear this, forgive me. I didn't know. I did not know. I did not know. So we'll say SA. Okay, or can I ask you another question? Can I use the word the M, the M word to begin with, like the Mo word? You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to make sure I don't say anything that's a violation. I'm trying to stay within I don't want to get into trouble. I don't want them to get upset with me. What besides SA? What other words can I say? Can I say I don't know another word, so I'll just go with SA. Shoot, I think you can. Not sure. Okay, in her opinion, that some parents are even told if they want to see their children or grandchildren, they must divorce their spouse. What the Hindenburg? Many who are underprivileged, feeling they have no option, will divorce and then just continue to live together. So why don't they want a family unit? That's what I'm trying to get. This is an anti-family policy, but parents will do anything to get their children home with them. However, when the parents cooperate with Child Protective Services, their behavior is interpreted as guilt when nothing could be further from the truth. Wow. That's crazy. So she did a lot of research. This lady did her homework. But this site that I got it from, I'm going to show the site again, but they're saying they did a disclaimer. So like I said, my disclaimer is I'm only reading her information. This is not my words. I don't work in any type of service like this. I'm just giving the information per her report and her findings. Okay? Woo! Okay, per her findings, fathers, non-custodial parents, I must add, are oftentimes treated as criminals without access to visit or even see their own children, and have child support payments started strangling the very life out of them. So you don't get to see your child, but you got to pay child support to a stranger that has your child in their custody against your will when you are the one that helped create this beautiful life. I don't get that. This is in her opinion, and this is what she's finding out. This is her talking to people all over the country, getting their stories on the horrors that they have been through and are probably still going through with CPS. Okay, in her opinion, that the Foster Parents Bill of Rights does not stress that a foster parent is there temporarily or care for a child until the child can be returned home. Many foster parents today use the Foster Parent Bill of Rights as a means to hire a lawyer and seek to adopt a child placed in their care from the real parents, who are desperately trying to get their child home and out of the system. Recently in Atlanta, a young couple learning to be new parents and loving it were told that because of an anonymous complaint. See what I was saying? Because of an anonymous complaint, somebody sitting up here lying, getting in other people's business. Maybe the baby was not feeling good and the baby was hungry and crying, and mommy was trying to make the bottle and the baby continued to cry, and somebody sat there and lied and said that they're messing with the child and abusing the child, shall I say. Their daughter would be taken into custody by the state DFCS. The couple was devastated and then was required by DFCS to take parenting classes, alcohol counseling, psychological evaluation if they wanted to get their child back. All of the courses cost money, for which most parents are required to pay. While in their anxiety and turmoil to get their child home, the baby was left for hours in a car to die in the heat in her car seat by a foster parent who who forgot about the child. This should never have happened. It is tragic. In many cases, after the parents have jumped through all the hoops, they still do not get their child. As long as the child is not returned, there is money for the agency, for the foster parents, for the adoptive parents, and for the state. I cannot believe this. You take a child out of a safe environment. So let's say the foster mother forgot about the child and the child would have passed away. I don't know, but something's got to change. For real. Something has got to change. Something's definitely got to change. Who, in her opinion, that tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat. Yet the victims' parents, grandparents, guardians, especially the children, are charged for the system's service. That is messed up. That is messed up. How you gonna take my child out of my house? Hold on one second. Daddy? He fell asleep. How you gonna take my child out of the house and place my child in the care of this woman that left my child in a backseat of a hot car? What were you gonna tell me, or what was gonna happen to this foster parent if that child would have passed away? What would have happened? That's what I want to know. What would have happened? What, would you cover it up? Like out here in California, we got two little boys, Oren and Orson West, which their birth names were Classic and Sincere. The mother was at work, and the children one of the kids' leg was broken in the care of a babysitter. The mother had nothing to do with it. The mother was at work. Clearly, she showed proof she was at work. So the baby kept crying, and she said something was wrong. She took the baby to the emergency room. They did treatment on the baby called the CPS on the mother, and they ended up taking that lady's kids, placed their children into the foster care of Trezell and Jacqueline West out here in California. Those kids have been missing 370 something days. Or is it 4? I forgot how many days. Maybe 3, maybe 4. I can't remember. I think it was 4 something. But nobody knows where those children are, and they are not in jail. We don't know where those kids are. CPS is not pressing it. The police is not pressing it. The only people that are pressing the issue are those that the stories were brought to, and people are still trying to find out where are the boys. They have been missing since 2020. I think it was December the 21st of 2020, and still today, those kids are missing. So I did another Child Protective Services story. You can look that up, or you can look up 2 California City boys missing out of California City, California. So let me continue. Oh, Lord help me. I'm going to read this up. No, okay. In her opinion, that grandparents have called from all over the state of Georgia and from other states trying to get custody of their grandchildren. CPS claims relatives are contacted, but there are many, many cases that prove differently. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage and grandparents. That's crazy. And parents too, wow, lose all connections to their heirs. That's crazy. Classic and Sincere, yeah. I feel really bad for them. I think that Jacqueline and Trezell, even to this day, should be in jail until those kids are found. I asked people that have no dealings, did not even know about this case with Jacqueline and Trezell, and Classic and Sincere. And my question was, hey, did you hear the story about the 2 kids out here missing in California? They was like, no, what happened? So I'm talking about people that have nothing to do with it. It didn't even stretch far. I said, girl, these 2 kids came up missing. Before I could finish, they're like, girl, they telling a blank lie. Them people sold them damn kids. Yeah, they sold them kids. That's exactly what I didn't even get the whole story out. And then I called another part of the United States. Hey, did you hear about, girl, they sold them. Before I made at least 50 calls to 50 different people. And before I can get it out of my mouth, and these are people that don't even know each other, before I can get out of them, they sold them kids, girl. Come on now. They getting more money for them kids. And I said, they got a reward. Girl, that reward don't mean nothing when they can get more money in trafficking? Girl, please. I said, wow, that's crazy. And it really opened my eyes. And some of these kids are missing out of foster care. If they did a census and look for every single child that has ever been in foster care, and I'm not saying this is a fact, I'm saying if, I guarantee you there are so many children that are unaccounted for. I guarantee you there are kids that are unaccounted for. And this is why I believe that they're not doing anything to Trezell or Jacqueline, because it has something to do with money and trafficking. This is just my opinion. I'm only one person. Nobody else may feel the way that I feel. I'm just saying. Okay, so in her opinion, that tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat, yet the victims' parents, grandparents, guardians, and especially the children are charged for the system service, okay? In her opinion, that grandparents have called from all over the state of Georgia and from other states trying to get custody of their grandchildren. CPS claims their relatives are contacted, which is a lie. They don't always do it. They tell you that just to shut you up. But there are many, many cases that prove differently. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage and grandparents. And parents, too, lose all connection to their heirs. Wow. Okay, let's continue. In her opinion, that the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times as many children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to official safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including, SA, than in general population. That's crazy. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. Wow. She even said it here, that they normally, and that's true. Because like I said, I have a family member that was SA. Constantly, every home that they moved this person to, the next person did the same thing. But praise God, my family member did not get pregnant. I think there are only 75 FBI agents that are investigating missing and exploited children. That's crazy. But I have a question for you, last call, because I know, a lot of people didn't like Donald Trump, and they have a right to whoever they want to like. I don't care. Donald Trump, Biden, they don't make my relationships nor break them. But my question is this. No, it's not a question. I'm going to say this. I started researching for myself. I was taught, don't believe everything that you hear. Don't follow everything that everybody tell you to do. Do the research for yourself. And so I did the research for myself, and some of the things that they continuously bashed this man about, he was doing the very opposite of those things. And this is me doing my own personal research without any influence from anybody. So he was very, 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 very sincere about not letting children be trafficked, not letting children be touched by adults or anybody that's older than them. He was very sincere about that. Down at the border, there was a situation where a young girl came across the border. This man snatched this lady's baby in some part of, Central America, and brought the little girl across the border. And upon their arrival, the little girl was, kind of covered up. I'm trying to paraphrase it the best way I remember it, because I don't want to add no lies to nothing. And they noticed that the little girl was impregnated. This 40-something-year-old man impregnated this 10-year-old girl. they locked them up. And once Donald Trump heard that information, he started telling them, whenever these kids come across the border, I want you to do a DNA test against the adult that accompanied them to find out if they're truly the parents. If they are the parents, okay, that's good. If they are the grandmother, okay, that's good. But one particular lady said she was the grandmother, and they did a DNA test on her, and she was not the grandmother. So then they had to try their best to find out where these kids came from so that they could return them back to their parents. But what the news want people to believe is that they have kids that are just dumped and unaccompanied. That's not, that Donald Trump allowed this. That's not true. I have a family member that works down there, and I can tell you one thing for certain and one thing for sure. Those children that came across the border with those strangers, if you grab a child and you use that child, and as soon as you get to your destination, you drop that child and you keep it moving, that child is sitting there with no form of identification. You don't know where this child came from. So, of course, you got to keep that child right there in that facility. You post pictures and you find out when some of those parents did come to the American border and was looking at the pictures. I've seen videos. They had pictures of all the children that came through the border, and the parents followed behind after their kids were taken from them, and they looked and one lady was on the news and she was crying saying, this guy snatched my son, and they returned her son to her. And she was so happy she took her child back with her to her country. So it's not true that, the president or Biden is just dropping kids, or Obama just dropping kids and leaving them in deplorable situations. That's not true. It's the people that are snatching those kids and using them as bait to get into America. And once they get into America, they bounce and leave those kids right there at the border while they disappear on American soil. That is what's happening. That's why we have a lot of unaccompanied babies. This is why we have a lot of these unaccompanied babies. And I'm glad that they're finding family members, because I would hate to see those kids go into a system that will neglect them. But back to this. I hope that makes sense. I really do. And I hope I didn't ruffle anybody's feathers, but sometimes we got to stop looking at the news. When I hear something, I stop what I'm doing. If it sparks my brain, and I write it down, and later I'll take that same thing and I'll go back and I'll research it for myself on different sites. I don't just believe what anybody tells me anymore. Even this right here, I've been researching and paying attention to the stuff on CPS. That's why I'm reading in her opinion, because these are her findings, not my findings. And if it comes out to be not true, then it doesn't lie on me. But I believe everything that she's saying, because there are other things that have been written, and I'm going to definitely bring those things up. And I'm sorry that this video is so long, but this is dear to my heart. Okay. In her opinion, that the National Center of Child Abuse and Neglect, I'm going to read it again, in 1998 reported that 6 times as many children died in foster care than in general public, and that once removed to official safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including the SA word, than in general population. Think that number is still, think that number today, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm getting my words in my tongue. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. Thank you. I got to learn how to blow this page up. In her opinion, that according to the California Little Hoover Mission, see, there I go again, that according to the California Little Hoover Commission report in 2003, 30% to 70% of the children in California group homes do not belong there and should not have been removed from their homes. This is a hot mess. I hate when this particular person drives, not hate, but I dislike when this person drives by every day. This individual, I don't know who it is, drives by every day with their music so loud that it rattles everybody's windows. So, so this is the site that I got this story from. And let me see if I could find her name. I think I went too fast. Okay, there it goes. Her name, it says The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services by Nancy Shaefer. And from my understanding, Nancy Shaefer passed away in 2010. So this is like 11, 12 years ago that she wrote this article. And this is really absolutely crazy that it's still going on today. So I'm going to do what they call a Reach Back Monday, and I'm going to try to go after them older reports and show you how long this has been going on. But I want to thank you, Last Call, for being a part of my live today. I appreciate you. I know that you could have been doing other things other than sitting here listening to me go on and on forever. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you. You know, I don't want to hold you any longer, but don't forget to hit that like button, that post notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I am going to be going live again later on. Okay, I thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.